So Austin Evans' video, the PS5 is worse, has been trending for days. And he did make a follow-up, which shows he climbed a hill, planted a flag, and wants to retire on it. But it has been trending for all the wrong reasons, and it seems that people really believe this crap. So I've made a video. Yes, I can't help myself. Let's do this. Hey friends, Axial GT here. Now I wanted to start this video with this famous quote from a genius, like this one from Albert Einstein. But since it's not fitting, and Einstein really didn't say this, it was actually from a 1981 Tennessee newspaper article talking about Al-Anon, that's no good. So let's try this one, from Stephen Hawking. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. While it is more fitting, he didn't actually say that either. So let's go with this one. It takes common sense to realize you don't have any. So many people think they have it when they don't. Axial GT. 1993. Now, could somebody have pinned that before me or something like it? Sure they have. That's when I thought of it. I jotted that down when I watched a neighbor of mine light a barbecue grill with 64 ounces of gasoline in a cup, but that's a whole other story. And no, I'm not saying I'm a genius. I just think it's a lot more fitting when talking about Austin Evans. Now, some will say that Austin Evans is a type of ambulance chaser or a clickbait connoisseur. And while he does remind me of a late night infomercial guy,
hi, Billy Mays here for OxyClean, the stain specialist.
That's more of a personal thing, which we don't deal with on this channel. Now, I've been building and repairing PCs for a very long time. Ever since, when was Austin Evans born? August 22nd, 1992. I've been doing this before he was his daddy's wet dream. Now, after watching his new PS5 is worse video, does that make me more intelligent than Austin? I'd say that's a crapshoot. Probably 50-50. But as for common sense, yes, no contest. In his video, he claims by measuring the exhaust temperature of the PS5 that automatically makes it to where the internals are hotter. And technically, he's full of shit.
The PS5 is exposed.
No, Mr. Evans. You are exposed. Now, if you don't know who Austin Evans is, well, obviously, he has a YouTube channel. I've seen some of his videos pop up in my feed from time to time. And the funny thing is, at first, I thought that wasting money was all that he did because that's all that popped up in my feed. But after doing a little bit of background, he does make some interesting stuff. But he has his niche, and good for him. And his channel is based around tech, kind of like mine, dealing with phones, laptops, consoles, etc. And he has 5 million subscribers. So good for him. The only problem is when you make false statements.
But we know that even with a very brief test, this one runs hotter. No, there's no scenario in which this is good.
Now, I'm the type of person that if you make extraordinary claims, you have to have extraordinary evidence. And Austin's video just does not pass the litmus test. I'll show you what I mean. Now, I'll show you a few excerpts of his video so we can understand where he went wrong.
So this is a Seek thermal camera.
Oh, the Seek thermal camera. Yes, see, I used to own one of these, and it's horribly inaccurate for one. So I sent mine back. You can get them on Amazon for a little over 200 bucks, more for the Pro version. And I am not alone. While it looks good to have 4 stars, if you dive deeper into those stars, you also see that it only gets a 3.5 when talking about accuracy. And it also only has 2.4 stars on Android. Now, admittedly, most of these are actually talking about the app that crashes all the time, which mine did too, but there is a few workarounds. But it's also noted about how inaccurate the Seek thermal imaging camera is. But we'll move on. Let's just take for argument's sake that Austin Evans' camera worked perfectly against all odds.
Through the back, we have 51, 52 degrees, okay? So now let's take a look at the new one and see where we're at here. 55, 56. So this one's actually somewhat warmer. The new one is running pretty consistently 3 to 5 degrees warmer than the old one. The difference of 5 degrees Celsius, that might not seem exciting, but that is actually enough to cause some difference in either your performance or in just the longevity of the console if it's sitting there, because the exterior temperature is always significantly cooler than what the actual chip on the inside is running at.
Wrong. That is not what that means. Just because the exhaust is hotter does not mean the internals are hotter too. And since we don't know what the SOC temperature is, you can't make that claim. Some more testing does have to be done. I'll say again, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This is not evidence. And I will give you a prime example. A year ago, I did a review on this Asus TUF gaming laptop, and performance-wise, it was a beast of a gaming machine. especially for the price. It had AMD's 4800H and an RTX 2060, but there was one caveat. It had a horrendous heat issue, and I'll link my review in the description below. But to make a long story short, even during normal gaming sessions, the 4800H would hit 105 degrees Celsius and start to throttle. I even opened up the laptop and tried to repaste it to see if that would help, but to no avail. It would still thermal throttle at 105C. But here's the thing. The exhaust temperature, the air blowing out the back, was running about 45 degrees Celsius. So deciding what to do to fix this thing, I came up with an idea. I was going to replace the thermal paste with liquid metal. And yes, you can put liquid metal on a laptop if you know what you're doing. A little acrylic conformal coating, some Q-tips, some black electrical tape, and of course, the liquid metal. You are in business. Well, with a little know-how. And how did all that turn out? The 4800H on average had a 12-degree drop in temperature, while the exhaust temperature increased by 10 degrees Celsius. So see, just because the exhaust temperature is hotter, does not mean that the internals are hotter. And as a side note, the other components as well did receive a temperature reduction. Not by much, but there was an obvious difference. That's what happens when you do half-assed testing. He only tested one thing. What if Albert Einstein was to do that? When he came up with E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light, which is constant, squared. What if he just wrote E, a genius he would no longer be. Now later on in his video, he does go and tear apart the PlayStation 5 and does find that the heatsink is 300 grams lighter and made out of different materials. Aluminum versus copper. But the fan is better. So what does all that mean? Well, really it means nothing. It means it has a lighter heatsink because there's no testing involved. Now we all can assume till we're blue in the face. Like I can assume, since the original PlayStation had a heat trapping issue, in my opinion, and as air flows over heat fins, every time it changes direction, it loses momentum and velocity. There is a case to be made that it's possible without the extra changes in velocity, because the heatsink is smaller, air is more efficiently removed from the case. But that would be assuming, and I don't do that. I'll also be the first to admit, I do not like PlayStation. Not that the PlayStation 5 is a bad console. I broke down the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series X. And technically, the Series X is a more powerful console. But in the end, it doesn't matter. They're both plastic boxes that you play fucking games on. Most of your cross-platform games will be made for the lowest common denominator anyway. Not that there really is a lowest common denominator in this situation. No, the reason why I don't like PlayStation is because of Sony and their bonehead move and their anti-consumer practices. Now, Mr. Evans did release another video to talk about all the controversy about his PlayStation 5 is worse. And in that video, he does say that he stands by his opinion. And well, good for him. It's wrong, but good for him. And the only reason why I say it's wrong is because he did not fully test it. Exhaust temperature means nothing. And I will say it does seem to be a little bit of a contradiction in terms, because he links a Digital Foundry article discussing it when they also say it needs more testing. But so be it. Some people just can't admit when they're wrong, or if their theory is wrong. And I'm the first one to admit I'm not always right. But with this one, yes, it's written in stone. You can't just measure exhaust temperature to tell what's going on the inside. Now, on the personal stuff, he says he's being doxxed and all this other negative stuff. And if he really is, and I'm not saying he's not, I'm just a little cynical when people say stuff like that because we have a problem right now of everybody plays the victim. But if he is, yes, that's wrong. And if he's receiving threats, that's wrong also. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Just when it comes to this video, I think he stepped in it. And again, I will state extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. There is no evidence. That's my opinion. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for future Axial GT content. I really do appreciate you watching. Until next time, my friends, I am out of here. You all have a good one.